Okay, this is one of those videos that's got to get done once in a while. The thread had a apocalyptic meltdown a few days ago, and I kind of seen it coming for about a week. I think a lot of people kind of getting fed up about one person having so much sway over a list. You know, you got to look at yourself, number one, because you didn't come up with the idea first like I did with the over ears. And number two, you got to contribute, and you got to do it in a specific kind of way. You can't just say something's awesome. I'll give you an example. That man, the guy's he's into audio. He's an engineer and stuff. He's in the business. He's talking about the E5, and it's really great. And I'm looking online, and I can't find the specs for it. And that really gets on my nerves, because you got something that puts out power, but you don't say what the specs of the power is. That's kind of mind-blowing. It takes a lot of balls to advertise an amp and not include the output into any impedance. So I had my doubts, and I said, you know, why don't you do a paper test, and then we'll just put this thing to sleep. I don't care, man. Creative, the amp. This is the thing, man. Don't get attached to gear. Anyway, Batman says, yeah, I'm gonna do that, and I'll come back. And he goes, and he comes back and says, man, that didn't go. I don't even have a video to show you because it didn't do nothing. Did Vatman feel bad? No, because Vatman didn't fail. Vatman's E5 didn't do a certain task, and he just kind of moved along. The claim of enormous power didn't hold up. Does it have other qualities? It looks like it does. A lot of people like it. It's got all kinds of stuff to it. I was interested in one specific thing. This is the reason that the over-ear thread was built, because people would say, oh, you know what? The Q40 has more bass than the SZ. And then I take these. Yeah, I still got them, bro. These are the kings. They're never going to make nothing like this. So I still got these. I took this out. I hooked it up to an amp. It was a KNC5, I believe, at the time. Just flew a piece of paper over the cup, based on bass, and posted it and said, do this with a Q40. I don't care what you do with it. Distortion's going to come in, and it's going to decrease the performance of the driver, and also everything it does, including the SPL and the amount of air that it moves. It's the deformation in a microscopic way of the driver is going to have effects that are visual. You can't just throw a bunch of stuff into a driver, because it'll just start to distort, sound like crap, and it won't do anything. So I've seen people blow drivers. Anyway, the narrative of the Q40 being a bass monster died right there. I kept telling everybody, same with the Pro 900, I kept saying, just do this one test, I don't care. Everything else, whatever. I just want to see, 35 to 55 hertz elevated. Just push that, buddy. Push it. Put the headphones over your ears and push it all the way to the edge where you feel comfortable, and then video that and post it up. And I didn't have any fear, because if it did do that, then the set that I had, the blue, was an unlucky one, and it in fact was, but it's 40 millimeter, and I didn't think it could do it, and that video never came. I got private messages saying I tried it, but that ain't gonna work. But these are still special, yada yada, and of course they are. This is not the almighty measurement. So anyway, the Q40 thing died. The SC thing rose, and the SC thing rose because people could look at the video and say, okay. And here's the thing, 2 years later, there's still people that sometimes come onto YouTube and say, I can't get the bass like you're doing in the videos. And I said, like I did a long time ago, if you do anything different than what I do, and all of the settings from about 5 different sources, an iPad, a Sony, a Cowan, a FiO X5, I think there's like 5 ways that you can go with exact settings. So you can take the Wiz Khalifa track, you can take those exact settings with that exact gear, and you should get that exact result. If you try to take an ingredient and switch it out, like you're gonna bake a cake but you got no sugar, so you think, hey, salt is white, it's like sugar, I'm gonna put salt in there, and then it ain't gonna be like the cake you want it to be, because you didn't put in what you're supposed to. You can't, I don't have this, so I'm gonna do this. No, it don't work that way. The stuff is listed specifically so that you can follow it and say, Nobody's ever come back and said, I did exactly what you said and I didn't get what you get. I have gotten lots of people say, oh, wow, now I got it, man. I finally got the E12, or I finally, started doing this. I started cut EQ, and they got it. So, that's these. Now we got a problem with the EX1000 because there's people saying that, oh, these don't belong on the list. These are not EX800 level, which are the number ones. That's not even disputable in my mind. You guys can dispute. That's why you're free to make your own lists. These need sure seal tips, and they need like a massive EQ boost. And then Joe's saying, you know what, that's not the thing. With respect to Joe, Joe does stuff with VSTs, and he's quite a whiz with EQ. The thing is that every driver is different, and the bass line that he was throwing up there is really good, but it's not that great for a 4-string bass guitar on this set. And also, critiquing this without using this exactly like this with this set, that doesn't make any sense, man. Apples and apples, not apples and oranges. Somebody does this setup that I already did a video of with this set and has a good seal. You know you got a good seal because you push it in your ear and you got good bass. You let go, you don't have good bass. Well, that's a seal problem, bro. That's exactly what that is. So get tips that work, whether it's Comply or something else. Put this line on it, put that in. It's number 7, and it's on top of that, it's got the widest stage and it's got the best bass to mid transition of any set. Even with this slope, which is very late in the bass and encroaching in the mids, I can still hear everything in the mids. Every test track that I use, it sounds great. Pimp C coming up. Go find that track and listen to it. It's got all kinds of sparkly stuff in it. It's got a really strong beat. I mean, this is part of UGK, Underground Kings. Rest in peace, Pimp C. This highlights everything that this thing does good. It's very wide. It's got a sparkle. It's got bass. Should I take these off because other people can't get this? If I did that, then I would have done this with the SC a long time ago. I know that I can do that, and the reason that I could prove it is because I could put a piece of paper over it and then do it, and then everybody could. I mean, there was no argument because it's a video. You don't argue with videos. You try your best to copy it, and lots of people did. There's a lot of people with SCs that know exactly what they will do. Do they want to do that? I don't know. Do they do that much? I don't know. Can they do it? Yeah, they can. And they've done their own videos, and they've sent me PM saying, these are awesome. I don't use them much, but if I want to just slam my head with some 80s 90s rap, these are my go-to, so I'm gonna keep them. So these will do that. These will do the same thing if you do the same thing that I'm doing in the same way. But I can't do a test with these. I can't show you the bass of an IEM, which I knew going into this whole thing was going to be the problem. IEMs are really, 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 really subjective. Bass quality, and there's so many variables that it's getting a bunch of people to agree on something is really going to be impossible. And this is where I get to the part where somebody's got to say yes or no. They got a lounge in the members area, and what they tried to do was get everybody together and agree on stuff, and instantly I knew this was going to happen. I sent people PMs because I couldn't, I was not allowed in that group. Somebody's got to say yes and no. There's got to be a final word. Someone's got to say yeah, no, that ain't gonna make it, or this is gonna make it. So that rubs a lot of people wrong because they're thinking, who are you, bro? Okay, I'm the guy that came in when people were wrecking the Hi-Fi, the H-Fi Ultrasone 580s, the DT770s, the Q40s as bass monsters, as skull-crushing, brain-shaking, eyeball-rattling, bass monsters. And none of those I just mentioned could ever do a paper test. And whatever you think about anything, that is bass and the resonance going through the materials of the cup, making the paper dance. And it can do it or it can't. And that's just a line. And and it's got nothing to do with anything except bass. You can't do that with 500 hertz, and you can't do it with 1,000. You can't do it with 5,000, but you can do it with 50. You can do it with 35. But if your driver can't do it, then you're not going to have anything to look at. It's going to be a paper just sitting there. And there's a lot of people out there that's done videos, and you've never seen it because there's nothing to see. But that'll do it. So I'm the guy that came up with just, the simple thing. And one of our fellow contributors was, pushing the cannons, and he was talking about how, the human body is, 70% water. It's actually a little bit less, bro. So why don't we do a test like that? Well, because almost every can could do something. If you use clever lighting and you put the camera at just the right angle, I could get any set that I could get my MA900 open backs to make it look like there was bass in the water. I could never do that with a piece of paper. So the water thing is that's 2 years ago. That's crushers, man. I don't do that. But there's people that want to do it another way, because when they try to do this way with their favorite item, it won't do it. And they feel bad about that, and they shouldn't, because this isn't about them, it's about the gear. And the problem that the thread ran into a few days ago was about gear. It was about people being too connected to their gear, buying multiple versions of the same identical item in some hopes of if there's an apocalyptic, something, that they'll have backups. I don't know. I'm not a collector, man, like in that sense. I've got some Sonys, but I don't have the same ones. XB90 had 3. Blue one. Not blue, I burnt it out, so the voice coil got delaminated and the sound was... People talk about burn-in. Burnout is another thing. I sent the other one to Pateric, and I have one. I got one XB90. I got one EX800ST. I got one Z5. I got one EX1000. I don't collect stuff. I collect things that do different things. I got to keep the 800s because they are the bass kings. Warrior 1975 is probably going to come in and say, okay, tell me exactly what you're doing, and I'm going to share that with them. That it's nice to be. I let go of the ASGs because I found something that I could replace them with that turned out to have better mids. So it was a win-win thing. And it had ear hooks, so everything worked out perfect for me. I was very happy to send those off. I sent those to Pateric first. He didn't like them. He sent them back to me, and then I sold them again. The person that's got it right now seems to be very happy with it. I'm very happy about that. I really don't care about the companies. Sony doesn't put money in my pocket. I wish Sony knew my name and was putting money in my pocket, because then that would be cool. I'd have more money in my pocket. Sony is hemorrhaging money and is making all kinds of bad mistakes, and so I couldn't be in their pocket. Maybe 10 years ago that would have been nice, but this is all about the bass. Why is this here and not that Mojo? 2 reasons. One is because the community is so large. You take a scoop of a crowd, let's say 1,000 people, and in that 1,000 people, you're going to have some people that are just not very friendly or helpful. You take a scoop of 10 times that, and you're going to get 10 times the amount, because it's a percentage of any group that are not helpful and not supportive. So it was difficult to get answers to questions. And then the killer for me was, because I'm a basshead, all of these, especially these, I'd have to hold the button down, hold it, 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 and there I am. About that much time. And now before I shut it down, because it's got memory, I gotta hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, cycle, 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 cycle down, cycle down, cycle down, cycle down, and then done. So that sounds like a small thing, but I got tired of it, man. I just rotate the knob and I'm done. I've got switches that you can't see because they're covered. I can switch into turbo, normal, whatever. This is a fine piece of kit. It's absolutely outstanding. I'm gonna have a custom cable on it. Is it portable? It is to me, man. Have you seen some of the triple stacks out there? They're ridiculous. This is actually a Note 4. Now look at that. You can't see it. What's behind it, because what's behind it's got basically the same footprint. And you rotate it, and there it is. This has got enough power to push anything. And, because I'm a basshead, having more is nice. So switching to this was not this was a practical thing. I like to rotate the volume. It's got dual DACs. It's got a lot more power. It can push these, really well. And the other one couldn't do it as well. So choose between one or the other, I'm going to take this one. So getting back on topic, the thread had a meltdown a few days ago because some people are upset that they don't. It's not that they don't have a voice, because they've not really submitted like, here's my list and I think this, and gotten into detail like. So it's not that they don't have voice. They're not even speaking. They're just disagreeing, and they don't. Some of them don't have the set. They don't have a seal. They're not doing the same thing that I'm doing. I said, if you do like this and you do like this, and then I shared the exact settings. And by the way, for the 10th time, Neutron has got 10 sliders. It shows 4 in the preview. It's got 10 that you can actually move through. Someone said, this is too sensitive, I can't. You touch the slider, man, and then you do everything. It's got actually ultimate control. So, this whole moving the slider by your finger, no. Touch the slider and then get in and dig. You can customize that. I recommend everybody get Neutron. And if you're going to do a rec in the IEM thread, do it with Neutron, because we got to have a unified thing. I mean, I'm do 32-bit floating output, and it's not. It just sounds smoother. I can go higher with the bass with it. This is a way for someone to confirm or to dispute another person's findings, because they can see the exact setting that someone else is using. Your amp might be different, but I don't even use the bass switch on this. That's bass switch on. I don't use it because I feel like that would give me effect that another person might not have. All I'm doing is using an EQ and using the gain knob. That's it. I'm not using a bass switch. I'm scared to use this because it's the same reason I don't get custom IEMs. A custom IEM is going to be something pretty much unique to you. It's going to be closer to the eardrum, and I can't say to another person that they're going to get the same thing because seal and price, and I can't get a custom because I can't wreck it, so I don't. I get a universal. I can wreck that because if somebody gets a good seal, they should be able to deal with that. But if you're going to wreck something, then use Neutron, because everybody can double check you. And if you are disputed, don't take it personal, because you are not the gear. Don't be so close to your gear. The company don't care about you, man. The company makes profit. They've got people sitting and doing meetings, and or they're a smaller company and they're hyping their stuff. Business is business, man. You don't walk out and say, hey, our stuff's pretty okay, why don't you buy it? They say, this is awesome, we've got the newest thing. They make a new word, and people bite. It's the way it's always been going. Out of there. So, companies saying, oh, this has got something and this is awesome, and that's their job, man. But you're a person and you own the gear, so it's not your job. You're not a member of the trade, unless you are and you're watching this. This is not for you. For a regular person, this is your gear, or whatever you got, and you own it. And if it doesn't do what you want it to do, you get rid of it and you get another one. And you don't worry about whose feelings get hurt because you don't agree with them, because this is not about people's feelings. This is about gear. And other people who read the thread, either of the bass threads, are going to make purchases based on the words that you say, instead of saying something's a god of bass. I don't even know what that is, man. This is the closest thing to that I've ever had, and I don't know if I've ever used that kind of phraseology like God. I don't know. I don't get into that. Show me a vid. And you can't do that with IEM, so we've got to be more precise with our settings and share them, and be open to the fact that somebody might come in and say, somebody's going to come in with the EX1000s and say, I ain't getting it. And I'm going to have to double check that they're doing the same thing, and I'm going to say, screenshot your settings, bro. And this isn't because I doubt somebody, it's because this is about confirmation, and saying I did it is not good enough. Take a screenshot of you doing it, and take a picture of your EX1000s or your 2.5s or your whatever, and back up your claim with info. This is a subjective hobby, but we can skirt on the edges of objectivity by being strict to ourselves and supplying more data than is needed. Do you need to screenshot something? Why not? Why not have someone not sit there and PM behind your back and say, this dude's tripping, I ain't getting the same thing. screenshot what you did and show that you didn't get the same thing, and then have the person come back, and he's going to do one or two things. He's going to say something dumb, and then that's going to expose him as being way too attached to his gear, or he's going to say something smart and say, you know what, I don't know what to explain. Maybe we have units that are slightly different because they're all not absolutely identical, or we just don't hear bass the same way, because in the settings I provided you, I get something quite outstanding. And if enough of that happens, then the list gets changed, because the list is not static, it's dynamic. It changes as need be. So, you know, you guys want to contribute and be more a part of something. Some of you are done because you couldn't handle how to disagree. Being an adult and saying, you know, I do not agree with this, and this is why, and you know, bullet point your points. You can dispute somebody and their opinion on a piece of gear without being rude to them. You do not need to overstate. You do not need to use God and explosive and, you know, all kinds of terms that really don't have any. They don't mean nothing. What you can do is be specific and break it down, as we say, and say, here's a photo of what I'm doing. Oh, here's a video of what I'm doing. Here's my gear. It's in the video. And this is exactly how I'm doing it. And if you're getting a good seal, you should be getting the same thing. And if there isn't, there's a problem. Hit me back. And then dude's going to come back and he's going to say, oh, nailed it, bro. Thank you so much. It was all about the seal. I got it now. Thanks. Or someone else is going to come back and say, I didn't get that. And then someone, I would say, screenshot, bro. I want to see it. And also photo of the ID, the gear. Not because I don't trust you, but because there's 4 times as many people that are not members watching the thread as there are in the thread. Way more than that sometimes. Way more. There were 264 people in the thread yesterday, or in that section, and there were, 45 to 75 members. It was like 4 to 1, and 3 to 1, whatever math. That there's always more people in the general forum than there are members, and these are people that are going to make purchases, but they don't want to be bothered with the forum, so you got to keep them in mind. Forget about the dude that's not believing you. Do the extra little bit for the person that you're never going to see and whose money's going to be spent because of your extra little bit. And then someone's going to maybe sign up and say, I just signed up because I wanted to say thank you. I've gotten mails like that. I've had people join the site to send me a PM and say, I'm not into forums or nothing, but I just wanted to say thank you so much. I couldn't get, people wreck stuff all the time and it never worked out. And this did, and the video did everything for me, so thank you so much. I get that all the time. The people on the site could see that, and part of the reason I got contributor was because I was doing stuff that wasn't clear, wasn't so obvious, like, why does he get contributor? Because there's not 50 people running around at this second wrecking a bunch of stuff that has no history or no proof. Someone can look at that wreck and then go to the list, and there might be a video, and then say, oh yeah, bam, that's what I need, or wait a second, that don't look right. And in the IAM section, 18 months ago, whatever it was, depending on if you had an audio file that loved BAs, or if you had somebody that was dynamic only, or if you had somebody that listened to classic and jazz, or it really depended on what the person's background was, what they were going to wreck you. And if you're a basshead that listens to hip-hop, but the guy that wrecked you something listens to mostly jazz, you might be out of luck. And it's not his fault because you didn't ask what music he listened to. So it's a lot better than it used to be. Can it be better? Of course it can, but that's on you. That ain't on me, man. I can just make a plate and everybody got to put something on it. So get to putting on and stop being so freaking personal. I get personal about the EXs because nobody has yet gotten them done exactly what I said. Sure seal large tips for the Bravo using Neutron and those settings. Do that with the tracks I said, and then come back and talk to me. Until then, it stays exactly where it is. And that's the way it goes. So be proactive. That's all I'm saying. Alright? Long video. And it's done.